we'll get off to the races.
Tell us when everybody can see us.
Oh, they can see you.
I can see and hear you.
So they could hear. Everybody's here.
Oh my goodness,
we're talking.
We're going live.
We're going live. Are we recording, Alex?
We are.
Wow.
Nice.
Wow.
Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for your time and the opportunity to speak to two incredible individuals that have spent more lifetimes learning than I think all of us on this call combined. My name is Alex Baptista. I am one of the administrators for Someone Say Whiskey. I'm joined by Randy.
Hello, Randy Sullivan. I am also an admin of Someone Say Whiskey and host of the podcast Bourbon Real Talk. And we have been interacting a little bit with Belfour Spirits since they launched. And we saw this as an excellent opportunity to bring some fun to the club and give you the opportunity to taste some of their whiskey that they have released and have a conversation with the passionate people that created it. So that's what we're here for.
Absolutely. And not like they need any introduction whatsoever, but Dayn, Ed, would you like to tell us a little bit about yourselves?
Hi, everyone, and thanks for joining us. Cheers to everyone.
Guys. Cheers.
So we'll get right into it. And I think we're going to kind of have a real casual conversation, both about your first career in the great sport of hockey and your second career in being a distiller. So I think one of the great questions that I saw, you are one of two individuals that has had the hat trick of championships, an NCAA championship, a gold medal, and a Stanley Cup. I believe Neil Broughton is the only other one to do it. Tell us about some of those, the most vivid memories you have from each of those experiences, and then maybe start to uncover how that got you to where you are in the distilling world, if there is any correlation.
Yeah, so very proud of that fact. And for those of you that don't know, I grew up in a farming community in Carman, Manitoba, Canada. Population about 2,000 people, just a little tiny town. Everyone knows everyone's business. And I had one sister, great parents. We grew up with 3 channels on the TV. We watched, Hockey Night in Canada together as a family every Saturday night. So it was in my blood right from the time I was like 3-4 years old that I wanted to be a hockey player. We played street hockey, floor hockey. Everything was hockey related growing up. There was no video games and, all that stuff. It was all about sports and interacting with the community. So I grew up with a awesome group of guys that were very competitive in sports. For me, I always wanted to play in the NHL from the time I remember watching, the original 6 teams. And my favorite team was Chicago Blackhawks. So for me, signing with the Blackhawks was a dream come true. My favorite players were Tony Esposito, Bobby Hall, and Stan Mikita. And, for me, playing for University of North Dakota Fighting Sioux was only 2 hours from Carman, Manitoba, where I grew up. Always wanted to play for the Sioux. Ended up going there in 86, 87. We won the NCAA championship, 40 wins, 8 losses. They called our team the Dream Team. I don't think anybody's beat that record since. I was a free agent, kind of a late bloomer. I had like 6 teams that wanted to sign me, and of course I chose the Blackhawks. So started my career with the Blackhawks. It was an awesome place to start. Playing in Chicago Stadium was a dream come true. I'll never forget the national anthem there. If any of you have ever been part of that, been to the Chicago Stadium, then you'll know what I'm talking about. Unfortunately, I was traded from there. It was one of the saddest days of my career, but it led to new experiences, new friends, and a Stanley Cup with the Dallas Stars in '99. So winning the Cup there, after winning the NCAA with the Sioux, was another highlight. And then after winning the Cup in Dallas in '99, unfortunately things happened and they decided to let me go. Unfortunately for them, they haven't done very good since. But I went on to Toronto, and that was my mom's favorite team. And playing in Toronto, would be like playing for the Cowboys in football in the U.S. Everybody knows, every member of the team, and the city is just electrified, every game night. And it was just an awesome place to play. Unfortunately, we didn't win the cup there, but I got a chance to, right before that, I got a chance to play for Team Canada, which I had done in '89 when I got sent to the minors when I was with the Blackhawks. Putting on your country's jersey means a lot to me. So playing for Team Canada back then was just an honor. And then being part of the 2002 Olympics in Salt Lake City, being part of the gold medal team was amazing. So very honored and lucky and blessed to have been part of all those winning teams. And, went by so quick, but again, like, I was so lucky and fortunate to play, in so many great organizations like the Blackhawks, the Dallas Stars, and the Toronto Maple Leafs. You get to meet some heroes of mine growing up, like Bobby Hall. I still remember when Bobby Hall came to my hometown, Carmen, Manitoba, when I was 9 years old, and he stayed all day and watched all of us kids play hockey in this tournament that we held. All the little towns around, like Roland and Miami and Morden and Winkler. And he stayed after the tournament and signed autographs for about 4 hours straight for all the kids. And I'll never forget that. And he gave us all these golden pucks. And he was the Golden Jet. He played for the Winnipeg Jets back then. Had a contract dispute with the Blackhawks, left. And he was the first $1 million player, and he scored 50 goals in 50 games with the Jets, and he had these pucks. They were gold in color. They were sponsored by Pepsi Cola, and he had his picture, big smile on his face, Bobby Hall, and he gave us all those pucks. I still have my puck and still very proud, but
he signed it a couple of years ago, right?
Right. Well, he signed it originally, and then he signed it again when we were in Aspen.
Yeah.
But I just feel so blessed to have been part of so many great teams, and now, a second career here with my family, with Dayn and Reaghan, and we got into this 6 years ago, and we're making some great whiskeys now. We went on the shelves in October, and we're always trying to get better every day at making whiskey and doing the best we can, just like I did in my career. I didn't sit on my laurels after winning, the Jennings, the Vezina, the Calder Rookie of the Year when I was in Chicago. You have to work at trying to get better every day, at your craft. And I made my own equipment, very proud of that fact. And now we're making our own whiskey. And I love being part of a team. We got a great team at Belfour Spirits. It's like going to the rink every day for Dayn and I, and being with the group and talking business and figuring out how do we make our whiskey better. We just spent the last 2 days at the distillery. We got some of our White Dog here that we're sipping on, and it's one of our new mash bills that we're working with and we're trying to perfect. So it's been a lot of fun, very enjoyable. Again, very proud to do it with Dayn and Reaghan, my two kids, and I learned a lot of lessons. Playing hockey for 20 years. And I'm, Dayn's learned a lot of lessons, and we try to apply those lessons that we've learned to our whiskey business and try to be the best we can be.
That's incredible.
Awesome. So we have a lot of questions that are going to delve deeper into what you guys are doing at Belfour Spirits, and also just asking some curiosity-based questions based on your history in hockey. But before we get to that, do you want to give like a quick overview of Belfour Spirits, what you're doing, where you're doing it, what products are available right now, and then we can get into the tasting, and then we'll transition into the questions.
Sure. We started this about 6 years ago. Dayn and I were sitting around. We wanted to do something together as a family business. And, you know,
And I love drinking, to be
Right.
honest with you. And I've been doing that forever.
so the spirits industry was starting to take off there with brown spirits. We talked about doing vodka, but that category is pretty saturated already. And in my opinion, it's just not as creative, obviously, as what the whiskey field can be. You know, I always say no two whiskeys taste the same, even if they have the same mash bill. These are the things that we've learned over the last 6 years. You know, you use different yeast strains. You produce it in different parts of the country, different waters. You age it in different barrels. And so a lot of you don't know, but I have a very creative, artistic background. Took art through high school and college. Always enjoyed that. Actually won a couple prizes for some of my artwork. So I'm a very creative guy. So this fits very well with me. Dayn always calls me the mad scientist behind the scenes, you know, trying to, you know, perfect the whiskey flavors that we like. When we first got into this, we did some research and development with, or actually just the research part of it was, you know, we gathered about 40 different whiskeys, and, you know, we started doing taste testings of, you know, what we liked, what we didn't like. We ordered a small still after that, and we were going to start doing our own whiskeys at home. Quickly learned that that was highly illegal, and I didn't want to be deported, so
I didn't want to lose the cars and my dad.
Right.
So we started going down the route to get our licensing and do it legal, and you know, it turned into a mom pop and you know, small operation. You know, where we thought, you know, hey, let's just get a 25-gallon still, and you know, we'll turn it into a little tiny operation, and we'll share with our friends and do it locally. And you know, once we learned how much time and effort it takes to put into making good whiskey, we thought, you know what?
Just like playing hockey.
Yeah, we need to do this on a much larger scale.
We got to go pro.
Right. So we started looking into the costs of what it would take to do it on a much larger scale. And we went to school to learn how to make the whiskeys, to learn about the business, and learn about distribution, learn about, you know, the labeling, you know, the bottles. You know, our bottles took the better part of 2 years, the packaging to create. You know, I tell everybody, like, our bottles is, and our packaging is like version 100. And I'm not kidding. Like, we spent a lot of time on.
That's extremely conservative, ladies and gents. I just really want to be honest with you.
Yeah. So me being a perfectionist, everything we do, we wanted to do it as perfect as we can be. And again, like, I want to make sure everybody's clear. Like, we're always trying to get better. We're not going to sit back on our laurels. We're always trying to improve our whiskeys. We wanted everybody to be able to drink our whiskeys neat. We've had the comments many occasions where people are like, well, we don't really like whiskey, had a bad experience with whiskey, we don't want to try it. And I'm like, well, just, you know, ours is a little bit different. It's pretty smooth. It's easy to drink, and just give it a little sip. If you don't like it, you know,
We'll
you
drink
don't,
it for
yeah,
you.
you don't have to continue. So, you know, we love it when we hear, you know, someone like that, and then they try it and they're like, oh my gosh, this is really easy to drink. Like, it's smooth. And then we're like, well, that's what we tried to accomplish here, is the fact that anybody can drink it neat, and it's only going to get better. Most of our whiskey tasted good at 5 and 6 months. Now, the stuff that you guys are tasting is approximately 1.5 years. All the stuff that we have right now is right over just over 2 years old, and our limited edition is just over 3 years old. So right from the beginning, our goal was to create balance in our whiskeys. We feel that, like, the whiskey that I grew up on in Canada can be pretty potent, not the best tasting. And, growing up in Canada, I didn't know any better.
Yeah.
So when we started doing our research and we tasted some of the stuff that we thought was good, we quickly found out, like, we were,
What the hell are we drinking?
yeah,
here?
what was that crap I was drinking back home all those years?
No wonder I could never make it through a frickin' exam.
But we've had a lot of fun, and we ended up at Moonshine University in Louisville, Kentucky.
And Canadian Craft Distilling Institute out of BC, Kelowna.
Right. So learned a lot at those schools, good people. Again, like, people that are involved in hockey, play hockey, they love to have fun. They love to socialize. They drink beer. They drink whiskey.
Dance.
Yeah,
Celebratory.
and it fits right in with what our personalities are like. So all the people that we've met, in Kentucky, in Canada, that at the Canadian Institute, they just want to have fun. They want to create some really good whiskeys, talk about it, talk about the different mash bills. Did you try this? Did you try that? Let's have a little shot of whiskey, while we're talking about it. They just like to do the same things that hockey players do. So it fits in perfectly. And when we went to the Moonshine University in Louisville, we met a lot of wonderful people that have been in the industry for 30 plus years. We still consult with those people on a regular basis. Two of them are still on our team. They help us with our profiles. They help with every part of what we do. And we really relish those relationships. Randy Allender, Don Hardwick, thank you for those guys. We couldn't be where we're at without them. So Peggy No Stevens, she's really helped us out a lot. Don Rogers in the past also. Very thankful for those folks from Moonshine University that,
gave us our start, like, in a sense helped us coach. We were coached through like we were in the minor leagues.
Nice.
From these veterans, and which obviously helped Dad and I get to the stature and level that we're at now, and developing and rectifying these spirits that you're tasting now.
Nice. Well, I think that we've got a lot of people on here, and the four of us that were on here before it started have had a chance to have a drink, but our guests have not. So do you want to move on to the tasting, and then we can get to some more questions? Is that okay with you guys?
Yeah, that'd be great. So
Who drank their tasting already?
Yeah. We'll start with the Pecan Bourbon, and the
let me give some instructions to the listeners. So
yeah.
So first off, I have lots of sample bottles at my house because I buy them in bulk from China. And I thought that everything that I had was half-ounce sample bottles. And so I started filling up half ounces, and I was going to give you two of the same. And then when I went to go open up the next box, I realized that whole case, like 500 1-ounce samples, which I could have used the whole time. So most of you got a sample pack that has 2 small vials and 1 large vial. Most of you, okay? And the vials that are labeled with just an R, those are your rye samples. And the vials that don't have a label on them, those are your pecan finished bourbon samples. And so I would recommend that you go ahead and pour all of your bourbon sample in one glass and both of your rye samples in another glass, and let it start to open up in there. Go ahead and do that now. And then Ed and Dayn, I'll hand it back to you to kind of lead the tasting.
Thank you, Randall.
Sounds great. So I'll give you a little background on why we chose a pecan bourbon. And so, moving to Texas in '97 and signing with the Stars, I quickly learned, how important the pecan, and let me remind you, where I grew up, we grew up saying pecan. So I quickly was corrected that it's pecan in the South and in Texas. So the pecan industry, very important in the fall, you know, with the pies and everything that goes on around that particular nut. And so one of our cooperages in Minnesota, when we were there visiting with Russ Kartz, one of the founders of Black Swan Barrels, that's one of the barrels that we use to age our whiskeys in. He is an expert in different woods and has been experimenting with different woods over the last, I think, 30 years. And we told him that we wanted something very unique, very different, very Texas-like. And he highly suggested that we do something with pecan. And I said, well, that's great, because we have this pecan tree on our property that's about, I don't know, 400 or 500 years old, and always had an interest in pecan. So we started experimenting with the pecan wood from Texas. We had some harvested, not from our tree, but from a different one. And then we aged some of it. And how we do that is we cut some small, about 12-inch pieces, and it adds up to about 159 inches. We do this process on the wood where you honeycomb it, create more surface area, and you toast the wood to different toast levels. You either soak it or don't soak it in water, and then we age it for about 6 to 8 weeks in our bourbon. And the bourbon that we're aging it in is our 60-30-10 wheated bourbon mash bill. And it was amazing. The first time we tried it, we're like, oh my gosh, this is what we're looking for. So we also wanted to add a little bit of smoke to it. You know, being from Texas, being, you know, in the South, we know how important that smokiness and the barbecue smoke is, you know, in the South. So we wanted to make sure that our product was a little bit smoky. So that's where it originated from. Thank you to Russ for helping us with that. And Dayn, I'll let you take over with the tasting. Dayn is an expert with the tastings.
I drink a little too much occasionally, often, and I always dance. No, this is a 46% spirit or 92 proof. You'll find some lovely aromatic notes on the nose of roasted nuts, obviously, with the pecan. If you take a nice little sip, let it strike the tip of your tongue, let it get on the inside of your gums, you'll find that it has a butterscotch creme brulee-like presence in the body, mid-body, and a lovely vanilla finish with hints of smoke. Very, very dessert-like experience. To Dad's point, the pecan, you're kind of, you know, drinking your dessert here in a sense. So something very new, unique, to differentiate from other spirits, other whiskeys, other bourbons on the market. No artificial flavoring, as Dad said. That is, you are experiencing a complement from the bourbon and the pecan wood. So oak and pecan together to give you this delicious dessert-like experience. Goes wonderful with a big rock or a big sphere in it. Becomes incredibly candied if you drink it on the rocks. I always like to express the cocktail industry, or classic old cocktails, old fashions, Manhattans, the lovely delicate smoky essence on the back end that's paired with that vanilla is extremely exploited in a cocktail, specifically an old fashioned. So for those of you that love cocktails, I advise you, especially you, Alex, I see you got the bar behind you, DJ Serge over there. Who else has got a bar in here? So please try to experiment, open it up. It really presents itself different to the drinker. So
and one thing that we were complimented on when we created this product, we had a chance to present to the Dallas Cowboys private club there in Frisco, and we were very, very impressed with how they made their old fashioned there with they wanted to try our Texas pecan. They thought it was a natural fit for their private club there, and they loved the smokiness. Now, what they did to even add a little bit more to it was they roasted some pecans, so it added just even a little bit more smoke to it. And oh my gosh, it's one of the best old fashions I've ever had. So this happened right before all this crap hit, our society with COVID. But we did have a chance to try the old fashions there at the private cowboy club, and they were serving them there. We look forward to go back and trying them again. So, some of you guys who like to try some new and interesting things, roast some pecans up and try our pecan bourbon with a little bit of that, and pretty unique.
Explosion of flavors.
The other thing that I love doing is adding a little dark chocolate into this equation. I love chocolate, so chocolate goes very well with our pecan bourbon.
Yeah, I was just about to ask if there was a specific bitters you guys recommend.
Chocolate.
There's a chocolate. I can never say it right. Yes, thank you. God, it's such a simple set of bitters. You can go into a little bit more, whatever you fancy. I prefer a citrusy bitters because I love how the fruity essence in my. Thank you, Alex. I really love that in the rye, specifically. I know we're not to the rye yet, but that stuff mixed with the rye it just really opens up its underlying cinnamon notes in a cocktail, neither here nor there. There's no wrong way to make a cocktail as long as you end up dancing at the end of the night, in my perspective. So.
I like that. So, and I'll also say, as big of a bourbon fan as I am, there aren't a lot of bourbons that I feel like are food friendly. And, at Thanksgiving, Christmas, I'll get out my, super ryes, I'll get out my finished ryes, and I can have those with dessert. But in terms of just eating food and drinking bourbon, I usually switch to wine because I just feel like they fight each other. Yeah. But the other day, across the street from the Cowboy Club, we went up to the Tri-Tick Grill and got one of their to-go packs that they had during COVID, brought it back, played it up, went out on the patio. It was a beautiful day. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to go get that Belfour pecan finished bourbon and see if it will play well with this barbecue. And it was beautiful. And so this is in my opinion, a food-friendly bourbon that you can drink with a barbecue that has a little bit of spice, if there's a little bit of spice in the rub, or there's a little bit of spice in the barbecue sauce, if you're into that kind of thing. There's enough sweet wood sugar notes in this from the toasting of the barrel, because when I interviewed you, you said all your barrels are toasted. Yeah. And also from the toasting of the pecan, it's pulling out enough of those brown sugar, flavors that it actually complements something that's got a little bit of spice, which normally bourbon doesn't. And I felt like it really well with barbecue. So kudos to you guys.
Yeah, I would say
thank you, Randall.
The best spirits kind of espouse a memory. For me, I had a few years ago the experience of getting to go out and do a real chuck wagon meal where you go out in the prairie and enjoy, a guy who wants to be called Cookie, which is weird, but that's and he's making all this kind of great meal. And one of the things he finished off was an open fire smoked pecan pie. And as soon as I tasted this, it brought me right back to that moment trying it. This is fantastic.
Thank you, Alex. Thank you.
You bet.
Dad and I love cooking actually together, big green egg, right? And hickory, mesquite, the pecan is something that I've yet to smoke the wood with our foods, but I couldn't agree more with you, Randall. I definitely think those notes pair well with food. I usually drink the pecan when I'm eating, and I'm a big salad guy. So grilled chicken for me, I'm like, hey, all right, let's rock and roll. But I guess on that note, if I may, could I lead us into the rye, perhaps?
Or do we have any questions?
Yeah. Are there any questions about the pecan bourbon? Does anybody have anything? Is that
Specifically, I think one that's related that would be, you make mention on the website of additional expressions in a plural sense. Are there additional plans of maybe a different finish or a different age staves that you're going to add into this bourbon base to see what else is out
mad scientist? I don't give all your secrets away right now.
Yeah,
no one's watching. You can say whatever you want.
Yeah.
Whatever you want. Give out all the secrets.
Off the record?
Off the record. This isn't being recorded or anything.
Yeah. No, I've been experimenting with different woods, and for now we're gonna stick with our pecan bourbon because we love it and we get so many compliments. But in the future, there will definitely be some very unique products that we're going to come out with. Like for me, so you understand, like this pecan bourbon again represents probably version number 20. We went through a lot of different
You
samples.
are so conservative. It's ridiculous.
And, I'm a perfectionist. I wanted to, we had our friends, we had, family members doing tastings for us, try this, try that. What do you think about this? What notes are you tasting? What notes, aromas are you smelling? We kept very specific notes on all this stuff and narrowed it down to where this was the final product. And I'm still trying to make it even better. Like you guys may notice, the next round of bottles might taste a little different. I'm always trying to make it better. That's the part, that the craft industry that I like. It's not to the point where it's a cookie cutter program yet. We're still adjusting. We're still making it better. And I will continue that until I think it's,
perfect. And that means, folks, you got 46% and a 92 proof bourbon here, and our rye is 47 and 94 proof, and our limited edition rye is 50% alcohol, 100 proof. Now, what we do before we go to bottle every single time is we're going to double check, triple check, quadruple check, and make sure that proof point is presenting the flavor profile that we're after. And if it's not, we're not proofing it at that level. We are going to give the consumer, the drinker, the clientele, all of you folks, what you're after. And I don't care if it creeps up a little bit. I don't care if it creeps down a little bit. You are going to get a very, very dessert-like euphoric experience with our spirits.
Yeah, just so everyone knows and understands, and I don't know if everyone else does this in the industry, but what we do is we'll print up 3 different proof levels.
And it
so we know that the sweet spot is somewhere between 92, 93, and 94. So we'll try it right before we bottle it at all 3 of those proof points, and you wouldn't believe, from the time we did all the research and development and dumped the barrels, and then it gets to the bottling line, 1 proof point can change the flavor profile just
completely.
Crazy.
Absolutely.
And so you might see the next time that you guys buy the pecan, it might be 1 proof point different. And you'll say, why did it change? Well, that's the reason why it changed, because we want to hit the sweet spot on that particular day when we bottled. And we do that for all of our products.
Check with legal, but I'm 99% sure that you're able to apply for your cola with a range now. You don't have to give it a specific proof point.
Yes, and that's what we did.
Okay, good. So somebody asked, and Alex asked this question, but to drill down a little bit, you did not name your company Belfour Whiskey. You named it Belfour Spirits.
Yes.
Which implies that you might be releasing something that's not a whiskey. Is that in the works?
Yeah, that was a bit of, right from the beginning.
It was
Dayn, take a drink. Let him talk.
Don't tell him this is my secrets now, because it's my backyard. So
Hey, I will tell you, we have been experimenting behind the scenes, and there could be a chance when we have our own distillery in Kentucky that we will be making other spirits, but we haven't decided that yet. We don't know if we want to go down that road yet. There's a lot of work that goes into, creating what we've created. And, gin has so many different
why don't you just
versions.
tell them? Why don't you just let them know all my secrets? I didn't tell them anything you had going on.
But
I think it's
I
that
will
you
tell
tell
you
them.
that the possibility is there for sure.
All right. Well, if you don't have a gin basket in your craft, what are you doing? You know what I'm saying? Like, you got to make money somehow. This thing's expensive.
Yeah.
But I would say, Dayn, your dad told your secret, so I want you to tell some of your dad's secrets. The floor is yours. Go ahead.
Randall, so the gin, I've been on Edward, the mad scientist. Dad does everything with our barrels. Like, Dad works with every single cooperage we work with. We got about 6 different cooperages we have right now. And Dad customizes the level of toast, the level of char, and where the oak's coming from, and won't accept anything less. So on that note, I like gin a lot. I really do. I think it's damn good. I drink too much of it when I'm not drinking whiskey. It's the most authentic, natural flavored vodka out there.
And it's medicinal.
So I really want to take Edward's mad scientist brain here with all of his, oak knowledge, and I want to take some of my knowledge with distillation, and I want to put that in a barrel and see what the hell it does, because I am curious. I really want to make some barrel-aged gin one day, and of course some other spirits along that line. I do want to cross up some of the unaged other spirits in our used barrels. That's something that I really care about. I love what Dad does with our barrels. Nobody does it better. I can't do it as good as him within our corporate structure. So I really believe that on the craft sense, because that's what we are, we want to give the drinker something new, and we want to utilize our rye and our bourbon barrels as a base to influence and give some character to some other spirits perhaps.
Yeah.
Nice.
Don't be surprised if you see it at our distillery.
Nice. Do you guys want to switch to the rye tasting?
Yeah. You bet.
Yeah, let's do that. So the rye, and if I can go into that a little bit, ladies and gents, Dad's a Canadian. I'm a dual citizen, so I've got 2 of the best countries on my shoulders. I've got 0 complaints. Bourbon, obviously, for the U.S. heritage of my family, and rye for the Canadian heritage of my family. The rye whiskey is a very, very traditional mash bill, old school mash bill, Northern Pennsylvania mash bill, 70% rye, 20% corn, and 10% malted barley. Aromatically present, that's a 47% spirit, 94 proof, aromatically present on the nose. You're going to get some of that dark chocolate, some sea salt, some caramel in there, and you're going to find a mid-body of sweet tobacco and brown sugar. Excuse me one moment.
And the reason why I chose that mash bill is because, a lot of the rye whiskeys from Canada are pretty much 100% rye, and very, very pungent, very, very spicy, and a lot of times create that bitter beer face. In this case, bitter whiskey face. And I didn't want to have that with our rye whiskey. I want to have a balanced product, like we said, with every one of our products, so that people can drink it neat, sip on it, and have that unique experience of pleasure and the ease of drinking it neat, and not have to add, whatever it is, Coke or Sprite or orange juice, which a lot of Canadians add orange juice to whiskey because it tastes so terrible sometimes. So
my grandfather, that's his dad, Henry. Thank you,
So,
Henry.
You didn't tell us what the mash bill of the bourbon was. What is the bourbon mash bill?
60,
60,
corn 30, wheat and 10 malted barley. So the rye in comparison is 70 rye, 20 corn, 10 malted barley. So that 30% in the mash bill of corn and malted barley really cater towards that traditional bourbon drinker.
Mhm.
No, 20%.
No, it's 20% corn, 10% malted barley, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's
Yeah. So
And then-
what does that add up together? Let's do some basic math.
and then in our bourbon it's 60%, 30% wheat, and then 10% malted barley.
Can I talk? Can I finish? Is it my turn yet? Can we
Well-
pass the torch over here? Give me that bottle of whiskey over there.
Okay.
Dane, real quick, I would like to say that when I interviewed your dad for my podcast, he declined to tell me what the mash bill was. It was the only
Oh.
question he wouldn't answer.
Okay, so I talk a lot. I talk quite a bit, and I don't really like keeping secrets. He's the
Anyway.
secret holder over there.
Anyway.
He's a schemer over here.
Anyway, it's 70, 20, 10 on the rye. And the reason why we chose that was to make it more balanced,
Yeah.
easier to drink, a lot smoother. And
So,
I think we have
so everybody that's listening, if you don't know, almost all the ryes coming out of Kentucky are 51% rye, the legal minimum, because Kentuckians love making bourbon, so they're going to make the rye as close to bourbon as possible. This mash bill is closer to a Maryland-style rye. And so pre-prohibition, Baltimore area was the, rye production capital of the world, and they made great spirits, but it didn't really bounce back after prohibition. And so I really appreciate a mash bill that's in that 70, 80% rye, but you get up to 100 and stuff starts to taste weird.
exactly.
It's a little aggressive. And so I really like this mash bill. This is great.
Thank you, Randall.
Thank you.
The Belfour boys are bringing it back because we do know that there are a lot of traditional rye drinkers out there that are wanting to experience something a little bit, traditional. And again, to the heritage of our family, U.S. and Canada. So we really wanted to give, the best of both worlds.
All right. Well, I'll ask the next question since everybody's got their drinks poured.
All right.
And so this one's actually for you, Dayn.
Mm.
And the question was, what aspects of distillation and aging did you experience at Woodinville that you'll carry forward in the Belfour line? And what I thought of when I read this question is when I went out to Iron Root, they were trained by Nancy Fraley, has a lot of background in brandies from the Cognac region. And they use the élevage technique where as their barrels lose volume from angel share, they'll actually add water in and start to proof down in barrel. But the water draws out more wood sugars from their barrels than the alcohol would if they just let the alcohol content go up. Is there anything that you learned while you were there that you're going to pull forward that's kind of unique like that?
A little bit. And this is extremely non-traditional, but oh God, how do I put this one together? Traditional ways of stacking barrels on their body, not on their heads. I've experienced barrel stacking on the heads, which obviously utilizes one head over the other head. Mm-hmm. So there is regular rotation to keep that barrel soaked and decrease leaking when you do so. But I found that definitely changes up the aging in a sense. Different atmospheric levels on how you store your barrels. For example, if you got a rack house that has 7 stories or 7 levels, obviously the barrels up top, middle, and down low are experiencing different temperature swings. What the rack houses are made of, whether they're all made out of wood or you're in a industrialized or manufacturing area, really plays on how the whiskeys age. You could utilize different rooms perhaps. So if you love cedar, you store your clothes in a cedar room. Well, why can't you store a barrel in a cedar room? Why can't you store a barrel under the ground? There's so many options that you can do with your barrels and just how you let them sit or how much you move them around. Or would you like to introduce frequencies to your barrels to help inhibit and promote the maturation for the juice to phase through the porous grains of the oak inside the barrel?
Yeah, different musics.
So
create different frequencies. So it's pretty interesting. We've been in some barrel aging.
You guys heard a little bit of my nerd out there. I apologize.
Where they play, Mozart. They play, rap. All those different musics have different frequencies. Pretty interesting. The other thing that comes into play is the humidity level.
Mm-hmm.
So, and what that does to our aging process is you're going to get different proof levels in different parts of the country. So, when you have an area like really dry, Arizona, where it's hot and dry, the proof point is going to go up in that area
over time.
Whereas in an area like Florida, where it's very humid and you age barrels there, the proof point's going to go down over time of aging. So these are things that we've been learning over the last few years. Very interesting. So part of what we want to do at our distillery is actually have a aging room for our small batches.
You're gonna give them that. You're gonna give them that. You gave them that, and you threw my gin immediately out there. I can't even believe you did that. Yes. Keep going. You're on a roll.
Anyway, it's gonna create some very unique products in the future, and we've learned this over the last 3 years, and we learned it at Woody Creek where Dayn did his internship. Very thankful for those folks. But like I said, we're always trying to learn and be on the cutting edge side of things. So
I'm hoping that one of those ideas is to pump some puck off from Pantera into one of the barrels just to see how angry you can make that whiskey.
Hey, you know what? I said I like dancing. All right, Alex, come on.
Actually, on that topic, let's talk back to 1999. And obviously the great run for the cup and the role that Pantera played in that. I've heard crazy stories about the CD being hand-delivered right before going into a period. I'm sure there's some crazy stories around that, but that night must have been insane, especially with a man like Vinnie Paul. Anything you want to say from that?
Yeah, Vinnie was
cheers, Vinnie.
Yeah,
cheers, Vinnie.
Yeah, cheers to Vinnie. And
cheers, Vinnie.
And the guys.
Yep.
Vinnie always took care of all of us. He always had a smile on his face, and him and Luds were obviously very, very close, very good friends. And when Luds and Maddie and Hatch approached Vinnie to make up a song for us, and it would just end up being perfect, and we just relied on that song so much. And this is the funny thing is, like, goalies are very superstitious. We're very on edge, very focused, and don't talk to the goalie, don't mess with the goalie, don't touch his pads,
don't look at me either.
So
don't look at me.
This whole thing with them forgetting our song when we went to Colorado, it's like, don't tell Ed. And they didn't let me know anything about that because they didn't want me to get off my game and lose my focus going into Game 6 in Colorado, which obviously we were behind the
one of
the
the
eight
most
ball there.
Important games of the run.
Right. So I heard all these stories after the fact, and wow, it showed up just in time, and everything went on as scheduled. Like our whole game prep. A lot of you don't understand this. Like, when you show up at the rink, you show up at the exact same time.
Every time
you take off your clothes the same way. you do your whole routine exactly the same way. You put your skates on the same way at the same time.
Left before right.
Right.
Always,
everything's exactly the same. And every player's like that. And you don't want to mess up that routine. Like when guys come out of the locker room, they do fist bumps, elbow bumps. Everything's got to be exactly the same. So when you're in a winning
Routine.
role and a winning routine, you can't change a thing.
Yeah.
So that CD showing up, you know,
If you change,
it helped
you
us
could
win
lose.
Game 6 in Colorado.
Yeah.
Believe me, it did. And thank you, Vinny. God bless you. And that led us to, you know, winning the Stanley Cup. So
Is it okay if I pop this thing in, Eddie? Oh yeah, okay.
right on.
So one of the questions that we got, we heard that you maybe partied with Pantera after you won the cup, and we also heard that maybe the Stanley Cup got dented.
I was only 9 or 10, so I have no comment here, Randy.
Yeah, Dayn wasn't part of that, but
Right. So somebody specifically requested you tell the story about partying with Pantera after you won the Stanley Cup.
Yeah.
And the story about the Stanley Cup getting dented.
I believe a pool was involved.
A pool
yeah.
was involved.
So the party was at Vinny's house, where
Love
you know
tubs.
Vinny held many parties for us at his house, and then you know his parties were the best parties that I've ever been to. So there was a lot going on, and yeah, the Stanley Cup definitely was there. It was on the balcony, and I did not see it get dented, but I did see the aftermath. I don't know where it happened. Maybe it happened on the way to the party, but
Fair.
Hey, you got to leave a mark on Lord Stanley as much as it leaves one on
You know,
you, right?
I think my thoughts were the guy who looks after the cup. We call him the cup boss. So he's like the security guard. There's like 3 of the guys that just look after it. They go with it. They're with it 24 hours a day. And I'm thinking he dropped it out of the back of the truck. That's my thought.
Tie downs are necessary when you're driving all-terrain vehicles, okay?
Okay, so let's since we don't know for sure, okay, but you've been in a position to hear all the alternate theories. So on the record, the cup boss dropped it out of the back of the SUV.
That's what I think happened.
That's what I'll
All
say.
right.
For.
But off the record, what's your favorite alternate theory that probably involves a pool?
Well, I did see, you know,
Who should we blame this on?
Yeah, that's
I may or may not have seen. I believe it's how you legally want to start that.
it was Luds. Luds did it.
Luds did it.
Yeah. He was on the second balcony, and the pool was down below, and it was one of those, you know, hey, y'all, watch this. First off, like, hold my Miller Lite.
Miller Lite. I think my respect level changed a little bit just now.
That's all he drinks is Miller Lite.
It's Miller time.
Yeah. So I'm going to blame Luds for sure.
Okay, I like that story way more.
Yeah.
Alex, what else you got for him?
So I'm curious. You know, we talked a little bit about how you've worked with Pegino and Woody Creek. Are there any other whiskeys that have influenced you and kind of the flavor profiles that you take, maybe more specifically to a brand?
Yeah, so I'd say one of the ryes that we tried early on was Mikter's rye that we thought was labeled wrong.
I'm not even joking. It's literally sitting right here.
Yeah, we really like Mikter's rye.
There's a special story.
And I'm like, Dayn, did they label this wrong? It tastes like bourbon. So it's very smooth, very easy to drink. They cold filter,
chill filtration.
chill filter it, and it's a lower proof, but it's very easy, very smooth to drink. We wanted our rye whiskey to be that easy to drink. So I don't know what their mash bill is, but
It's 51% rye.
We definitely enjoyed drinking the Mikter's
Thank you, Randy.
rye, and I would say it was definitely influential on our product.
For sure it was.
Yeah.
Hey, I remember you remember Edward saying amongst those 40 or 50 whiskeys that we sampled before we got rocking and rolling. Well, this is what's cool about this story is we got the shopping cart loaded up, and he goes, "All right, Dayn, pick the last bottle." Okay, I'm walking down the aisle. Peripheral. I peripheral this selection, which makes it that much more magical because I love the authenticity of the label and how nostalgic it represented itself.
And it was green.
And it was green and green dancing machine. You
Green's
guys know I like dancing.
Green's
I think picking that up like
I
slightly.
hold it off my peripheral, put it in the freaking cart. We go home, get shit-faced, and it's our favorite whiskey we end up drinking. And we're like, we got to figure out how to make stuff that tastes, as drinkable as this at different proof points and at different flavor profiles. And that's really why our juice kind of, drinks the way it does. It's because we recognize that drinkable fashion in Mikters, and hats off to those folks. They do a great job.
Yeah,
That's amazing.
yeah.
I was worried you wouldn't have a good answer for that question because I'm sure you've tried so many different things.
Yeah, we tried a lot.
But that is actually a really interesting story. And I see how the smoothness of and that's a word that I cringe when I say it.
It's so overused, Randall.
It's overused, but your whiskey is very drinkable, and unoffensive, I guess would be the better way to put it.
Exactly.
And so I see how, even though you're at a 70% rye, I think that maybe it might be the toasting of your barrels that gives it a little bit of a softness to it that balances out the harsher rye flavors, if I had to guess.
Yeah, I think it's that, and it's
definitely the balance with the corn and the malted barley too,
for sure.
And perhaps something else. You guys are gonna have to sit on that one for another couple of years. I'm not giving you that.
Well, there's nothing else to give. We know you toast and char your barrels. We know your mash bill, so stop pretending like you got some big secret, okay? If there's something, then drop it. But if there's, I just don't believe.
Right here, I got Ed Belfour. That's a Hall of Famer. You guys can get this. Okay, this guy's done everything but act in Hollywood, and I feel like that's inevitable. Nobody realizes how funny he is, but me. I just told him today. He said some crazy shit. He needs to be. He needs to be on frickin' TV and movies, doing shit with Luds on the regular. I mean, it would be priceless, those two together.
That's actually transitions into another one of the questions that we got. So most people that achieve the level of success in the sports realm end up in broadcasting, coaching, something associated with the sport that they were known for. Why didn't you do that? Why did you go into
those guys
something?
are all bullshit artists.
Hey, come on. Okay, let me answer that one.
All right.
No. Yeah, let me. I'm doing. I don't
No.
care what you say anymore, Ricky Bobby. I'm Cal Naughton Jr. Bake and bake. Okay, I slingshot you for the victory all the time. What about me?
Hey,
Can I win?
does everybody know who Don Cherry is? Put the thumbs up if you know who Don Cherry is. Okay. That guy is one of my favorite people of my career. He tells it the way it is. He is so honest. He's just like the ultimate for us hockey guys and for Canadian people that love hockey.
Reggie Dunlop. Too,
He tells it the way it is, and I'm sorry, but he offends a lot of people. And unfortunately, I would probably be similar to Don Cherry and offend a lot of people and be too honest. And I don't want to be that guy.
It's just how you played when anybody came.
And I don't want to be the guy who just, blows smoke and down the middle and politically correct and just, kiss ass this and kiss ass that. I've never been a kiss ass guy. I tell it the way it is. And that's why the media never liked me, is because, I didn't kiss ass. So
It's true, guys.
that's probably why I never chose that route.
That is the perfect answer to that question.
And my secondary answer to that question, Randall, would be he's Derek Zoolander and I'm handsome.
I'm not sure he knows what that means.
Show Blue Steel. Show him
No,
La
no,
Tigra.
no.
Show him Ferrari. Come on.
No, we're
I
Let's
freaking
see-
worship you, bro. You're my hero. Come on.
Come on, let's see the blue steel. Come on.
Yo, Blue Steel, show, come on, do it. It's natural.
That's actually, I don't know a better transition to try and ask the question of where did you get the nickname Crazy Eddie?
Well, I mean, when you put vodka in your water bottle on top of the net,
There it is. There it is.
Hey,
There it is.
you know what? You guys and gals, I got something to share, which is even cooler than that in my perspective. My dad played for the Chicago Blackhawks, and at the same time, he was well on his way to become a professional drag racer. At the same time. Oh, I might, I might crash into this wall at 300 miles an hour and I can't stack the pads anymore, but, F it, we'll do it live, right? And Ricky Bobby, does anybody want to go fast? Hey.
Yeah. Yeah, that's my,
yeah, put your hand up. I want to go fast like he does in the movie.
that's my second love.
It's all about reaction time.
Is racing for sure. And, I grew up very, very competitive, as you all know, who watched me play. I did whatever it took to win. I'm that way with everything I do. So I'm the kid when we were playing Monopoly that would flip the board over if I was losing.
Do not collect.
So the craziness was born in me, and
That's
people,
why you're born for
people
glory.
recognize that, and sometimes they take it a little too far.
Oh, come on. You got to give it 110. That's what everybody's watching for. I mean, nobody wants to see anybody give it 60.
Oh, look at that. Look at that. I see it
Hey, Derek.
right there.
Derek, he's got the cup.
Mini
Beautiful.
cup. That's right.
Yeah, look at that. Pouring a little toast there.
That's right. I love
Yeah,
it, Derek.
yeah, yeah.
I love it, brother.
Toast to the
Woo!
cup.
So Eddie, if you're all about the speed, what's your vehicle of choice to get there from 0 to 60?
So I had an Eagle Talon. Basically, it was a pro stock car. I ran 804, 165 miles an hour in a quarter mile. I didn't get into the sevens, but we're going to get into the sevens, maybe even the sixes here within the next couple of years. We're building another car, and I want to say at some point that I ran in the sixes. So I look forward to that. Love drag racing, love, any type of car enthusiast stuff. I had my car company. It was called Carman Incorporated. We built street rods, muscle cars, and just loved it. One of my best friends, Jeff Friesen, ran that. So thanks to Jeff. I don't know if a lot of you know this, but I started collecting mopars back in my teens, and I collected in Saginaw, Michigan.
That's where I was born.
That's where Dayn was born, and the connection is that's where I played my minor hockey with the Chicago Blackhawks, with the Saginaw Hawks. And I bought my first real collector car. It was a 70 Hemi Cuda. It was in pieces. Ended up selling that car, but the most important car that I purchased while I was there was a 71 Cuda convertible, 446 pack, 4-speed car, one of 17. There was 12 automatics, 5 4-speeds. I have one of the 5 4-speeds. I bought that car there in Saginaw, Michigan in 1989, the year Dayn was born. And Jeff Friesen restored it for me at Carman Incorporated. We collected parts for the better part of, I don't know, what was that, about 15 years.
Yeah, more than that.
And then Jeff restored it. We took it to Mopar Nationals in a Judge Gold first try. The car is like perfect, like it rolled off the showroom floor back in 1971. We actually have that car up for sale right now. It's going to help us raise money to help build our distillery in Kentucky. So tell everybody about it, and hopefully it'll sell for as much as possible. But it's a car that's very close to my heart, very dear to my heart. And thanks to Jeff, did a great restoration on it.
Yeah, we'll get them tweaked. If there's any vodka-filled water bottles, we'll be sure to clean those out before.
Yeah, and we'll sell those for extra money and donate it to the cause for building the distillery. Somebody said in the chat that car is like one of a really small number. I think they said, like, I can't remember what the number was, but
yeah,
it was
one of 17. There's 12 automatics and 5 4-speeds. It is actually one of the 5 4-speeds. So very rare car.
And just so everybody knows, I've switched to the first distillate that Dayn has ever made.
There it is. Thank you.
There it is, the limited edition. And if you haven't had a chance, you'll have to come to my house and get a little sip of this, because this topper is
2.5 pounds.
You could kill someone with this.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, it won't get dented, that's for sure.
It will not get dented. You could yeet this thing off of a roof, miss the pool, hit the concrete, and it'd still be good. You know what I think might be interesting is if you tell the story of the eagle that's inside the Stanley Cup, because it relates to your car company.
It does. So Jeff Reaghan, who ran the car company, who restored the 71 Cuda, he had a daughter born in 1999, Abby Friesen, and we have a picture of her sitting in the Stanley Cup that year when she was a little baby. Well, now she's 20 years old, and she is the one who produced that new Eagle.
The newest generation of Edwards Eagle.
Yeah, so we're very proud of that fact. She worked hard on it. That's probably version 50 of the Eagles that I worked with her on, and that's the one that we all loved, and it just made an impact on all of us. We love it on the bottle. We're very proud of it. Thanks to Abby Friesen. Thank you, Abby.
Thank you, Abby.
And we're just excited about it. We get a lot of questions about that Eagle, and again, Abby sat in the Stanley Cup.
You folks can see how close-knit of a crew we are. I mean, childhood best friends are running, our hobby business, and, and designing our new future. So we're very loyal to the people who love us and gave us the love through our careers, my career, Dad's career. And that's all we want to do in this next, chapter of our lives. And our new legacy is just give back to all those that gave us everything. And they gave us the fuel to be the best that we could be. And so why not, give some fuel back to them and, get those happy feet going and start dancing with me on the street. So,
you keep promising this dancing, and I've been waiting for an hour and 15 minutes. I haven't seen anything. I'm a little disappointed.
I can promise you guys,
it's a little small here in the camper.
It's a little small here in the camper. Dad and I, we're in our RV, and no AC on, so we could hear each other. So I apologize if
I don't know if you guys can hear the bullfrogs in the background.
Yeah,
they're pretty loud.
Yeah,
I actually can, and I didn't notice it until you said something.
Yeah.
So I've opened up the chat so that individuals who have questions might want to add. One did come in, I think is valuable, especially from the focus of the Great White North. Are there plans, or have you solidified the plans on expansion into Canada?
Yes. So we would have been in Canada already this summer. The COVID virus hit, and so we've had to put things off until the border opens back up. But our plan is, as soon as the border opens back up, Southern Glazers is in Canada, and we've already met with them a year ago, and we struck a deal with them to represent us in Canada.
Mm-hmm.
So we're hoping that this opens up soon, and we're hoping to get our whiskeys there. We will start with our bourbon and our limited edition rye. Our regular rye doesn't fit into the new law that Canada implemented in the last year. From what I understand, all ryes coming to Canada has to be aged at least 3 years.
Yep. 3. Yep.
So that was surprising news to us because when we met with Southern, I don't think actually the law was in place yet. So we have to wait a little longer for our regular rye, but our limited edition will definitely be in Canada as soon as possible. And of course, our bourbon will be coming to Canada.
With a
your limited edition rye, how many barrels do you have left of that to take into Canada? 2, right? Because you released 10 in the U.S. at 28 months.
Yeah, so
we're held 2 back, right?
We're probably just going to dump one of those barrels. So basically 230, 240 bottles will go to Canada, and that's it.
It's going to be gone fast, and it's a good thing you have a 7-second car to get it there.
Right.
Hey, Fast and the Furious is a big part of my life, Alex. You know, I mean, Paul Walker, you know, that's another fella that I really love. That was one of my nicknames in school because I drive an Evo, but to Paul.
I figure it's because you have the striking resemblance of looking just like him.
If put me in the movie, him too. I'd love to be driving them cars. Man, God, give us an excuse to go too fast, especially if we distill our own fuel source for our racing team in the future. Yeah.
Yeah, we're in the process of building a pretty cool car that'll get us into the 6s. And it's going to run on alcohol, so we're excited about that.
I think that'll bring a new level of name of White Lightning to the
Exactly.
Alex, have you been talking to Elizabeth with our marketing ideas?
I can neither confirm nor deny that. Well, question did come up, I think is relevant. The limited straight rye, is it the same mash bill as the regular rye?
70-20-10.
Beautiful.
70-20-10, absolutely.
Yeah, and like I was telling you guys earlier, you can have the same mash bill and they don't taste anything alike. And that's what we wanted to create was Dayn and I have been on quite a few of the different Kentucky Bourbon Trail visits, and one thing that we want to make sure is that none of our whiskeys taste exactly the same.
And if I may, I am kind of philosophical, so allow me to give you a little bit of an analogy. If there are 8 billion people on this planet, each one's different to the next. How do you think an oak tree feels to get a brother or sister next to it? How would you expect that tree to be identical to the one next to it? And perhaps go through different temperature swings that could aid or inhibit its growth throughout the years, which would ultimately lead to a different profile of flavor through the maturation phase with the rectification of bourbon, single malt, rye, anything else, you name it.
Makes a big difference where that tree grows.
So one of the questions that I wanted to ask, because when I interviewed you, Ed, you said that the distillery that you were contract distilling through in North Carolina, that they were sourcing local grains.
Mm-hmm.
But when you were at Woody Creek, Dayn, and you did your own distillate run, you were using grains that they were sourcing that were local.
Absolutely.
And there's a big difference between the limited edition and your rye.
Incredible.
An incredible difference. And so when you guys open up your distillery in Kentucky, are you all going to be trying to maintain grain sources to maintain flavor profiles? Or are you just going to develop new grain source and then develop a new flavor profile that you feel like is good for you guys?
What we'll do is we like to support local farmers, and what we'll do is we'll source local farmers. We try to use non-GMO grains. That's one of the things that we pretty passionate about. So there's a lot of good farmers in Kentucky. We'll create a relationship with a local farmer, and we'll adjust the flavors accordingly to try and get them as close as possible to what we've already done. Now, like I said earlier, that's craft, right? You know, from one batch to the next, they can be a little bit off, a little different. That's why we adjust the proof points when we enter the bottle, the proof points when we enter the barrel. There's some things there that you can do to adjust, and we will do our best to try and create the same flavor profiles. We'll use the same yeast, but you are correct. There will be a little bit difference. Now, mind you, again, we're a craft distillery. It'll change a little bit, but we're always trying to change, if there is a change, for the better.
I can also say, because we're giving a little bit of secrets away, small batch runs are very important. Give me that back. I was going to drink that.
Can you share?
Sharing's caring. I care about you a lot.
We're sharing. This is our white dog that we just picked up at the distillery, and there's a little research and development going on here. This is a little different mash bill for what I like to feel a very special bourbon in the future, and it won't be out for a while, but it's going to be. This white dog is amazing.
What are you coming off the stills at with that?
Say that again.
What are you coming off the stills at?
Alex, you shut your mouth, Alex. I'm not answering that ever.
We haven't had that much to drink.
I had to try.
I can't tell you. That's part of our secret. That's
my job to have the hard-hitting questions.
That's not even a hard-hitting question.
No, but
I'll tell you. It's between 125 and 135.
Okay.
Not much of a secret, Edward.
I know, that's why I said that.
Okay, well, fine. I will try.
Actually,
my secrets away, man. I told you guys I work with a distiller. He's giving my secrets away.
It is.
Hold on. That's actually revealing information, even though you didn't give up this specific amount. For those of you that are listening, almost every Kentucky distillery distills up to 140. The higher distillation proof that you go up to, the more the grain flavor that you strip out. And so if they're below 140, so if they're at 125 to 135, they're leaving some grain flavor. And then if they're putting that distillate in the barrel at a lower proof point, then you're extracting more wood sugar flavors from the additional water that they've added in. And you actually have to, if they're going to cut it down to 92, 93, wherever they end up at, they're adding more water or less water later after they've aged the product. Because if you think about it, if you distill to 140 and water down to 125, and then you end up somewhere in the high 130s, and then you proof it back down to the low 90s, there's a lot of water in that product that never touched the barrel. So the process that they're using, there's less product in the bottle that didn't age, and so you're getting more flavors. And
Exactly.
So I actually respect that.
And that's
I can't even make eye contact with you right now, Edward.
And that's one of the reasons why our whiskey tastes good at 5 and 6 months of age. So, there's an art to this that we've learned, and there's always a little bit of luck involved in everything. Trust me. When we won the Stanley Cup, there was definitely some points, throughout the playoff series where I had some luck, and you need to have luck. You got to be great, but you got to be lucky too. So we've had some lucky moments where like, oh, geez, I didn't realize that.
It just went right in my glove.
That went perfectly. So we've had those moments with our whiskey too. So we're very thankful for those moments. And the key is that you recognize them.
I have one final hockey-related question, and I think it relates to the journey you've been on as a distiller. Obviously, you've had your ups and downs. You've learned some things along the way. Are there any specific moments from your career that you remember as a specific low point where you really had to pull yourself up by your bootstraps, learn something to overcome that big challenge?
Yeah, so signing with the Blackhawks, that was a dream come true. I wanted to finish my career with the Blackhawks. That was my favorite team ever, like I told you, ever since I was like 3-4 years old. And my favorite players, Tony Esposito and Stan Mikita and Bobby Hall. And I was so fortunate to be called up. So I started my career in the minors, and I wasn't a cake eater in any way. I had to earn my way.
Yeah, you're not from Medina.
And so I just was so lucky and fortunate to be called up at the moment, the night that Bobby Hall, Stan Mikita, Glenn Hall, and those guys were at center ice, and they got their banners, their jerseys put up in the rafters. My favorite players, Tony Esposito, Bobby Hall, Glenn Hall, and Stan. I was on the bench when they raised their banners, their jerseys, and they were out there with their wives, all dressed up, and I was crying, on the bench, and just so proud and honored to be part of that. And I wanted to finish my career as a Blackhawk, win the Stanley Cup as a Blackhawk, and have my jersey, my banner raised just like them. And the saddest day of my career and at that moment of my life was when I was traded, January 26th in '97. And I still remember getting the phone call and just I broke down crying, and then you get the interviews and blah blah blah, and then you move on to the new team. So that was definitely a low moment. I mean, some guys get traded and they never recover, but
it's personal.
Yeah,
it's personal.
You just have to move on. You have to. My goal was to win the Stanley Cup, and I hadn't won it yet. So you just keep working hard and dedicate yourself and give 110%, and you wake up every day with that dream of holding the cup above your head at one point. And I never lost touch of that dream, and kept getting better every day. And that's exactly what we try and do here with our whiskeys. I won't be satisfied until we get double golds and who knows, maybe even a platinum.
I like that.
Right.
So along those lines, I'll say that there are a lot of celebrity brands that are coming out, and it's kind of become a joke in the whiskey world because they're celebrities. They don't know anything about whiskey. They don't have any passion. They have no skin in the game with regard to production, and they're just trying to make money off of their name.
Yeah.
And say what you will about Belfour Spirits, that's not who you guys are. I've learned that.
You can feel the passion as much as you love hockey and country and your racing is how you treat your whiskey. So I would say we can't thank you enough for the time today. And I'll ask anybody on this call, you've heard how passionate this man is about his juice. Go out, support that brand, support what he's trying to do, continue to buy. As a small batch distiller, next batch is going to be different than this batch. Bring them all, sample them, try them out, keep them on the shelf, expose it to new people, because this is the type of passion that we need as a community in whiskey. Master distillers that are, from massive billion-dollar companies, that's great, but this is the engine that keeps the innovation going. So I can't thank you guys enough for the time today. I can't thank you enough for what you're doing with the brand, and I look forward to the next batch.
Thank you, Alex. Thank you, Randall.
Love you guys. Thanks for being part of the Belfour Spirits team.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys.
Love you guys. Cheers.
Thank you.
God
bless everyone.
Thank you.